Knicks family, what's popping? I'm back in the lab without a mic to grab, and so I add all the rhymes I had. We about to talk Kevin Durant to the Knicks. Is New York the new hot spot? We gonna find out. Let's rock. But why would Kevin Durant even consider coming to New York? You know, that's what I want to know. Why would KD consider coming to New York? Can he play in the New York media? Uptown Twan, you said, can he play in New York with the media though? See, that's a good question. That's a good question. Like CP, the artist, is saying he's sensitive. Can he deal with the media in New York? Because the New York media is going to tear you alive. It's going to eat you up. You know what I'm saying? It takes a special kind of guy, you got to have a special attitude to be able to deal with the New York media. You know, even one of our greatest players ever, Patrick Ewing, sort of had a hard time dealing with the New York media. You know what I mean? Because he just wasn't the kind of guy that was going to deal with he wasn't going to take no shit. You know what I mean? You know, that's how Patrick was. Can KD deal with the New York media? That's a good question. You know what I'm saying? Listen, KD responds to kids. And you guys, I'm sure you guys have watched ESPN and watched Fox Sports and watched all the pundits talk about KD and his sensitivity. You know, he responds to 15-year-olds on the internet. He responds to this person and that person. You know, you heard him respond to CJ McCullough. Listen, CJ McCullough did him a little bit dirty, though. I'll give him that. I think he did. He did him a little bit dirty. You know, but you know, that's the way, that's the world, that's the way it is. You know, and KD has got to be able to you know, KD's gonna have to be able to deal with it if he plans on, you know, if he plans on doing what if he ever plans on being in New York, he's gonna have to deal with that, right? You know, so that's definitely a question. That's definitely a question that we'll be able to grapple with. And I have Tommy on the line. Tommy, can you hear me?
I can, Timmy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. And I'm about to get the video over. All right. Hopefully the new app is working for you that I'm using. All right.
So far so good.
Okay. I got Tommy D on the line, guys. And you know, we were just in the midst, Tommy, you're talking about Kevin Durant to New York. You know, some people in the chat asking, can he handle the New York media? You know, is he tough enough to be in New York?
So say again.
You know, some people just kind of asking, you know, can he handle the New York media, or is he tough enough to play in New York? You know, to deal. You know, there's just been a lot of talk the past few days about KD being sensitive and those type of things, right? Can he handle it in New York?
So, okay, in my opinion, and based off of the stuff that I've talked to a lot of people around the league about in the last not only a couple of weeks but a couple of years, and most importantly, maybe not most importantly, but you know, more validation came today. The KD LeBron stuff is it's like KD is really trying to push on the LeBron, I would say, head to head, you know, which we haven't seen in the NBA for a lot of years, right? You didn't see it with Michael and Kobe. You didn't really see it with Kobe and LeBron. KD really wants it with Kobe there, right? So that's the narrative now. And to answer the question, I don't even really have a good answer to that. I hope that's a good answer. But what I can tell you is, And I don't believe you're going to see this on the mainstream media. I don't believe you're going to see this on, a lot of the talk shows that are trying to push this, this narrative moving forward. Is, in my mind, it's KD really wants to leapfrog LeBron.
Okay.
In terms of titles. So, it's almost like KD he wants to be like the Kobe, right? In the discussion, instead of like the LeBron versus Michael, which it just, again, from a media perspective, it's gold because, just what else can you just wake up in the morning and here we go again with something new. But if LeBron decides, which he already did, that he wants to build this thing in LA, KD's got to decide what's his next move. What's his chess move? Right. He could stay in Golden State, and we've talked about this. He could stay in Golden State. He could go to Washington and try to use Washington as leverage, which I'm not buying. And then he obviously has the Knicks there to try to use them as leverage. So, the word that I had, and we talked about this also, through a pretty decent source, he's cautiously optimistic of what the Knicks have done, and we'll see. There's a lot of time between now and then, but this LeBron KD stuff is real.
So let's just say Durant did come to the Knicks. Clearly, like you said, he's he's optimistic. So if he's optimistic, that means he's watching to see what the organization does. So some interest is there, right? So let's just say he did. Kevin Durant, Porzingis, Kevin Knox, based on, let's just take it from who we have here. I know some people want to throw Kyrie Irving in there, but just based on who we have here. If you have those three, then you have Frank Ntilikina at the point guard spot, and you have Tim Hardaway Jr. What kind of team do you think that is?
In terms of wins?
Yeah.
With this year, with LeBron out of the East?
Out of the East, yeah.
With Durant?
With KD, Porzingis. I don't know how, that works if KP is at the 5, but, KP, Porzingis, Kevin Knox, Ntilikina, or if it's Trey Burke, I'm going to say Ntilikina, going forward, at least into the future. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. at the 2.
So give me the next 2 off the bench.
Off the bench, who we talking about? I guess maybe Trey Burke at the point guard spot. I guess you could take Trey Burke and Frank Ntilikina, whichever one it was.
All right. So we got who's the 8? So we got Ntilikina. We got Hardaway. No, we got We got Kyrie.
Okay. So if you're adding Kyrie, you would have Kyrie at the 1.
At the 1.
Right. So then probably Hardaway at the 2. Knox at the 3. Durant at the 4, and then I guess KP would be at the 5.
Porzingis at the 5.
Right. Then you'd have Mitchell Robinson off the bench. Ntilikina off the bench.
For sure.
Probably Trey Burke off the bench.
I'm not sure about him, but okay. And I got into trouble when we were talking about the last time about and it's not dislike with Burke. I need someone at that spot who's going to guard multiple spots.
Yeah, I hear you.
Or score for multiple spots. So I'm taking Hazonia over Burke.
Okay. I forgot. Forget. Yeah, I was forgetting. Forgetting about Mario Hazonia.
I got Robinson, Hazonia, and under Troy Robinson or Troy Williams, who we talked about last time, who I thought was going to stick, did not stick.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put in there in that spot. Cantor on a 1 year, just like a mini deal.
Yeah, Cantor maybe on a mini deal. What do you think about Trier? Do you think he sticks around over Dotson?
Well, let's go back to the original one.
Okay.
How many wins does Kyrie, Hardaway Jr., Knox,
Durant,
Porzingis. And I'm
Then
just counting on my hand.
That's 5. And then
Ntilikina.
Yep, Ntilikina,
Hezonja.
Cantor, Mitchell Robinson.
I got Robinson.
Okay, you got Robinson. Okay.
And who's the 9th? You want to say Dotson?
Dotson.
At the 9th? Okay.
Yeah, say Dotson.
That team, which is not going to be this year, that's next year. That team wins in the East. If LeBron doesn't come back, that team wins 52 games.
Okay. 52 games.
Easy. Top 4 team.
Mm-hmm.
And loses to either Toronto or Boston in the Eastern Conference semis, or Washington.
Yep, you're on live, man. What's popping?
Popping. My name's B98. Usually in the chat.
Yeah, what's up?
What's that?
I'm doing great.
Doing good, man. So what's your take on it? Take on
what? I'm a little late jumping into this. Take on what?
We're talking about KD to the Knicks, the possibility of KD to the Knicks.
I don't see that that's very likely. I already feel like we have that KD potentially in Kevin Knox. I feel like that was a fantastic fantastic pickup in the draft. I don't really think and/or see us picking up KD. I think we should just stick with developing Mr. Knox. He's 18, and just really focus on tapping into his potential, because his upside, in my opinion, could possibly be KD. We could probably have a KD. We don't even need him.
It's possible. But if you can add 2 KDs and you're able to put one at the 3 and the 4, I mean, my thing is this. Listen, I agree with you 100%, right? We want to develop our young guys. It's been a very long time since we've had something that is homegrown in New York. And if you talk about KP and Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina, you're growing guys at home, but eventually, and it's without a doubt, you're going to have to add some. You got to do both. You got to, to develop and build your team, you got to add guys from, of course, draft picks. You've got to bring in free agents. And at some point, you're going to have to bring in a free agent. You know what I mean? And if you have the money and he's available and he's interested, why not? And you're not touching any of your young guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And just to follow up with that question, would you have, and this is hypothetical, if KD was to sign to the Knicks, where would you see Kevin Knox being? Would you have him at the 4? Would you have KD at the 4? KP at the 5? What would be your ideal lineup if we was to acquire KD?
Well, and we were just talking about, that ideal lineup, but I think at that point, you got Kevin Knox, who's 6'9", could possibly grow to be 6'10". KD is what's KD, Tommy? 6'11", 6'10", 6'11", something like that.
6'10",
6'10", right? So you got him and Kevin Knox, basically the same height. They can. I mean, you don't even have to say you're
still growing too.
Yes, exactly, still growing. So you don't even have to say you're the 3, you're the 4, right? They could just go out there and play ball, and they'd be able to switch on defense because they're the same height. And KP too, even though you might slide him and say you're at the 5, it doesn't mean that if he's in a position to make a play as a 3-man, he doesn't make the play as a 3-man, or they're on a break and he's in that position, whatever, however you want to say it.
If you can match Durant and Knox, right, and then even bring Hezonja, even if you just as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You have, but in the post, you could switch them all in the post, and then stretch them all out to the perimeter, and then
Right.
The only thing that they don't have is the drive and kick player, and that's where Ntilikina comes in as not the drive and kick player, but the guy that they can bring in off the bench to guard the perimeter, guard 3-4 positions. And knock down shots and be able to then develop his drive and kick game. The only thing they're missing is the drive and kick game. That's what they need.
That's what they need.
They have a good good top screener. Cantor is sort of the X factor. You get through this year and figure out if he wants to be and see if he can give you some bench minutes. Robinson is a couple years away. He's not that guy. Obviously, O'Quinn's not there. You got to figure out what Porzingis will do moving forward as the franchise, and that's why Fizdale went out to Latvia, and we'll see what they decide this year with him. They could trade him. They could trade him for obviously a very big piece, but that has to be either a player like him or a point guard. And if Kyrie, they feel like Kyrie's got the inside track there, and you can add a guy like Durant, which I'm not sure that's the case. But if you have Kyrie and Butler with Porzingis over the next 4 or 5 years, then you're going to compete. At this stage, right? Is it not about just competing? It's about getting to the finals.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I got Tony Crow on the line. Tony, what's going on, man?
Yo, Blackest Time. Shout out to the chat.
What's popping with you, bro?
What's going on, Tommy?
Yo, what's going on, man?
What was I gonna say? Oh, Kevin Durant. He's coming. I feel it. I think if Golden State does not win the championship, he opts out. And we might get him, next summer.
What if they win?
If they win, he got to go for 4. Just because.
For optics, because of the optics, you got. I see where you're coming from. And I mean, if you win, then it kind of looks like, okay, you came here, and now you guys are winning all these championships, and now you leave.
Yeah, you gotta go for the clear cut best team ever. You know what I mean? Like, they win 4 in a row. They right up there with best team ever. I don't even know if you could argue against it. I mean, I haven't seen those old Boston teams. I wasn't alive, so I can't really. But at least in the modern era, you can't argue it.
Okay.
So that's my take on Durant coming. I'm wondering if by chance, if we go after Kyrie next summer, if we and Golden State does win, if we have enough money in 2020. Because if we have enough, if that's the case, then that's the route I go. Especially if Golden State wins.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't think we really need to go after 2, if you will, max players. I think KP and development of the rest of our young guys and one guy in, especially if it's Durant, I think we're good enough.
So you think KP, Kevin Knox, them guys could eventually be your other stars.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the great debate last couple episodes saying KP might not even be the number 1 with Knox here, and just going off that theory, whether you believe one is the number 1 and one is the number 2, everybody thinks both these guys are stars. Or stars in the making. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean,
I think it's not a rush.
Also super young, right?
Right, super young, and it could very well be that those 2 end up being your 1A and 1B, and then if you need to have 3, another one comes along somewhere, or you get another one in through free agency or something like that. That could very well be. Be.
One more thing that I would be a little concerned with. I mean, it's down the line, but if we bring in 2 guys like a Kyrie and a Butler, or a Kyrie and a KD, how does that make KP feel? Does he want to play the third fiddle or forfeital if you think Knox is above him. You know what I mean? Like, so that's another thing
you know what? I think
you got to think about.
You know, sometimes I'm sorry to cut you off, Tony. Sometimes I think that's overplayed a little bit. For some guys, you know, you got guys who, they want to be the man, but guys like to play. I play basketball. You like to play with other people that can play basketball, right? Because it really does make your game easier, and it makes the game way more fun when you have other guys around you that can play. When you have people around you that can't play, sometimes it can be a miserable, boring, it can be a tough game because like you feel like you're doing everything and no one else is doing anything. You know, and that can be a tough way to go. Guys that can play ball, they like to have other guys that can play basketball around them. And I think Golden State is, you know, proving and showing that you can have, prime example. You can have 3, 4
That's the
guys.
reason KD went there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree with you 100%. I believe KP will be willing to take a step back and if you will, let Knox be the number one option and focus on being defensive player of the year. I believe that's the type of player KP is. I think he wants to win first. And that's why I was trying to call back in last episode just to say Kevin Knox could end up being number one option and KP end up being defensive player of the year. And I don't even think that would be an issue.
And it could be.
Here's my thing on that one. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't they both be good offensive players and good defensive players, or one great offensive player and both great offensive players and defensive players? Like, why does it have to be one or the other? I don't get that. I never understood that.
And it could be that they just come out and play ball, and the chips fall where they may. You know,
they got 5. How about they got 7 great two-way players, and they become a really great team, and those are the two best players on the team. I never understood. I do understand it, and I've fought it. You know, with the networks and stuff, and everything's got to be A or B, right? Like I just that to me is I don't understand. So let's just take it. It doesn't have to necessarily be everything, but why can't Kevin Knox and Porzingis play great offense and together and great defense together? I don't understand that.
And I guess sometimes
I was trying to defend them because the chat was kind of getting on them last episode.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it comes down to how do I want to say it? Who is the guy that I know just from my experience playing basketball, it starts to come down to when it really gets into that clutch. Who is the guy that you want with the ball?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And who was the guy that you're going to trust with the ball?
But that answer, and you know this, that answer comes from the defense and who makes the ball find you in your hands. Like where does the ball find itself?
Where does the ball find itself?
Reaction.
And what my argument was.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, what my argument was, and the chat was blitzing me, Tommy. They were killing me. But my argument is and I don't know what's going to turn out to be. But my argument was that from what I seen, what Kevin Knox can do, he could very well turn into that guy because he can get the ball. He can go full court, coast to coast, something that I have yet to see Porzingis do. Now, I'm not saying that he wouldn't be able to do that, but I have yet to see him be able to do that. He can go coast to coast. But it goes back to your point on when the game gets tight. That's half court. So when the defense forces the ball into your hands, if you can't shoot, that's why I always used to give Shumpert, stuff, and Felton, and Jeremy Lin and those guys. And this goes back a ways when actually they played, relatively, reasonably important games. That's why JR was important, because JR could catch the ball. Ball wouldn't be in his hands. He'd be like, oh, okay, good, that's good. Like catch and shoot it. That ability is what you need. To your point, when the game gets tight, obviously there are long ways from that. We've got a long time before that's even a thing. But I guess my thing is, that Porzingis can catch and shoot
at 7'3" with a
You can catch and
8'5" release point. And we were talking about this today in camp. Like, people can say there's a lot of unstoppable things in basketball, right? Things that, maybe you're the 0.1% that you're great at. Oh, you got a great crossover. Oh, you have great bounce. Or, oh, you've got, great ability to find the open man and get layups. The number one, without question, without even a debate, is release point on the jumper. That's unguardable.
Yeah.
It's 100% out of 100. You're gonna get, if you have the right, and Porzingis has it, and Knox has it.
Yeah,
so if
absolutely.
they can play defense, then either one, and as long as the ball finds them, that's going to be a good shot. And they're going to get it off.
Yeah.
And that's
so it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with them having a little bit of internal competition, as long as it's friendly competition. Like, okay, you got 10 rebounds, I'm getting 12 next game. You got 20, I'm getting 24 next game. As long as it all comes together and they're still working together, for the same purpose. I mean, they were killing me in the chat because I said, hey, I think Kevin Knox right now has a bigger repertoire, with the things that he can do. Whose Mark was going crazy
versus Porzingis?
Yeah. I just think he has a bigger repertoire of things he could do. Who's Mark? If I was in the house with who's Mark, he would have hit me. But the thing is, the chat, they think that I do not like Porzingis when I love KP. Caller, you're live on Nothing But Knicks. What's going on with you? Can you hear me?
It's in summer.
Oh,
this is the
what's going on, man?
Dundada,
the original Dundada is here. What's popping with you, bro?
Oh, man. Good night to the chat. Hey, Tommy, good night, man. Everybody, good night. Knicks fans, man. Hey, I tell you something, man. I've been listening all night, And if it's one thing with me, Sim, I'll tell you something. You ask me a question, man, I'll tell you no lie. Hey, that's the whole thing, okay? As Knicks fan, I love you all. I appreciate, being fanatics, man. But look here, we got to slow down. We have been sometimes a little bit too rushy in certain things, with this player's coming here, this player's coming here, and we're just fantasizing. We got to slow down because these guys we have coming up, they are good. We have to just develop these guys before we think about bringing in other guys. If you bring in Kyrie, then Frank sits. What's up with that? You're going to hurt someone's value if you try to bring in too many people at one time. We have to let these people or these guys work for a year. And trust me, everything will just settle out. After a year, we'll know about Frank. We'll know what he's capable of. We'll know about Knox, what he's capable of. We'll know about Mitchell and Porzingis. If we let things shake out, and Herzonia, if we make things shake out the way it's supposed to shake out, half of these guys that we're thinking about bringing here, we don't have to bring them here because these guys will be the top-notch guys. These guys, and plus in 2 years, Anthony Davis will be available. Who's to say that we can't bring Anthony Davis instead of KD here? We got to calm down, but we got to slow our roll a little bit. Next past years, that's how we did. We always got so in love with players outside. Who can we bring in? We have to stop it right now. And thank God that Perry and Mills, that they're on top because they know that they have to calm down. They can't push forward because if you go for certain players that are injury prone, although we love them, but when they get here, they can't play. What the heck is that all about? So we got to slow down. That's my number one thing. Number two, Sim, I love you, man. And look, I don't think that you have anything bad to say about KP. I believe the same thing that you believe. Because KP is a good guy. I don't know if he'll be the franchise. I don't know if he'll be the face of the Knicks in future years. I'm thinking more like Knox. But
if that is the case, KP has to understand that he has now developed his bottom half. I saw whereby people were playing him, and every time he went up, he fell down. It's like they were pushing him aside. If he does not develop properly, he is going to be pushed aside a lot more. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, yes, I do agree with you, Sim. And some people, they hate what you say about KP. But if you love the guy, and that's how I know you love the guy, because you say things the way it is supposed to be said, and you say the truth. You are saying the truth, and I believe it. I see it for myself.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thanks. Thank you for supporting me, and hopefully the chat heard what you had to say. You know what I'm saying? I love the guy. That's the reason why I am tough on him, because I want to see him be great. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him be great. And if I was his coach, I'd probably be even tougher. Or if I was his trainer, I want to see him be great. And with some guys,
Of course. And I do appreciate that, man. But, you know, some people get the feeling, sir, because they're so in love with a player, that anything you say, basically, against that player is going to hurt. And it's just human. It's just being human.
Right.
But as a coach, you know that as a coach, you have to inspire these guys by fear sometimes different ways. You have to inspire them. But as a coach, you understand you have to be down the middle. You have to call it for what it is.
Right.
And it is what it is. He is weak at the bottom. He has to firm himself up a little bit more down there. And I see what he's doing in his gym, because he's been exercising, and he even understands that that's his weakness. He knows it.
And look, and there's nothing wrong with having a weakness that you're developing and working on. There's nothing wrong with it, right? You have a weakness. You realize it. You have trainers that realize it and you know, help you develop in that area while you continue to strengthen your strengths or improve on your strengths. Then you develop your weaknesses so that they become strengths.
Definitely.
That's what you do.
That's how I know that he's going to be a great player, because you know what? There are players outside there that they just continue doing what they know how to do best. But you know what he's doing? He's working on it. And that's how I know he's going to be a great player, because he's working on it.
He
knows his weakness, and he's working on it.
Yep. That's what it is. He's working on it. And I like the things that they're doing, you know, when they're talking about, you know, working on his, his mechanics and biomechanics so that it doesn't happen again. You know, I love that. I love that.
I love that. And I just have one more thing, Sim.
All right.
I'm just so tired of people comparing LBJ to MJ. Look, man, I lived in those days when Michael Jordan was making noise, okay? And I've seen Michael Jordan play against the Knicks. In those days, the Knicks were not a pushover team. If you came in the Madison Square Garden, those balls would bowl you over. If you're not firm. They were strong. The Knicks team were strong. Jordan went up against all these guys, okay? All these guys he went up against in those days. A foul, ticky-tack foul right now? Oh, no. In those days, you could bounce man real good, and the refs would not see a damn thing. Okay? Now LeBron James now playing in this era where everything's a ticky-tack foul. In those days, Michael Jordan, he was going up against, people who would really kick his butt. Okay? Now, the other thing about this right now is that Michael Jordan, he didn't have to go to another team to ally himself with a superstar. The only two real superstars who played Michael Jordan was the Worm and Pippen. Those two guys with him. Everyone else, they were B players, basically B players. When you see LeBron James, he understood when he was playing for the Cavaliers that he would never win a championship because he could not carry a team like that. That is why he left Cleveland. He went with another superstar. He now knew and understood the only way for him to get a ring was to ally himself, and that's where it started. Now, you want to compare LeBron James, who has been playing with Class A stars allied around him, against a Michael Jordan, who mainly had Class B players around him. Come on, give me a break. Most of the people who say that LeBron James is as good. They weren't born in the era where we saw Michael Jordan going up against these Bulls. Okay? So whoever is saying all this nonsense, let them take a look. Let them take a real good look. As much as I hated Jordan because he smashed my Knicks so many times, as much as I hated that man, I have mutual respect for him right now.
Yeah.
Because that man came out and that man balled. He balled. It was only him alone. He inspired the team. He balled. So you know what? I have a lot of respect for LeBron James. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for him. But stop this nonsense. Stop this conversation about comparing LeBron James with Michael Jordan. There is no comparison. None.
Hey, Sim, Sim, you can't get that on Twitter, man. That is the truth. And I didn't say one word throughout that whole unbelievably truthful and amazing rant. That was awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
your listeners are tremendous, man.
They are. They're knowledgeable. So great. I mean, when we talk about knowledgeable basketball Knicks fans, these guys are knowledgeable, man. They know. Truth. Yeah. Hey, man, I appreciate the call. I'm gonna let you go. All right.
Oh, all right, Simpson, and hey, man, hail up to everybody outside. Hail up, Knicks fans. We will win a championship. Trust me, within 3 years. It's going to come. I'll say within 3 years, and let these young guys grow. Hail up to everybody.
I trust you.
Knicks I trust you, bro.
You know, LeBron James opened up a school in his hometown. You know what I mean? And it's free tuition, free uniforms, free transportation within a 2-mile radius. And if you graduate, free tuition into, I think it's Akron University or whatever it is, you know. So for anything that you want to say about LeBron James on the basketball court, you know, that he changed the game, that he's the best player that ever lived, if that's what you want to say about him, what he's doing off the basketball court is so much more important. It is, that's where he's truly changing the game. You know what I mean? And you got to give it up to the man. He's truly changing the game. You know, his school is starting, I think, like 250 kids in the school. And, you know, those 250 kids, if they do the things that they need to do, they're going to have a free college education. That's changing the game. That's doing things that other athletes have not. That's uncharted territory for athletes, and I think other athletes need to follow suit. And I don't care, you know, there's going to be people out there that say, well, he's not paying for it all by himself, or come up with whatever they want to say. I don't care. I don't care if he coordinated and partnered with 1 million different people to make this happen. The fact is that he made it happen, and that's much respect due. You know what I'm saying? So I put a call out there for any person, any little piece that you can do to help build your community, help your community grow, help children grow, children that are living in conditions that you wouldn't want to live in, conditions that you wouldn't want your family or your children living in. I grew up in conditions like that. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. It helps you build some character. It does. But it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? And our kids, we have a lot of kids, especially in the city, and even kids in some rural areas that just don't have the resources and the access to resources to accomplish their dreams. You know what I'm saying? And become successful individuals in whatever their and whatever they determine to be their success. You know what I mean? So I really want to give a lot of respect to LeBron James for that. You know, that's big, that's real big. Anything you can do, anything I can do, I try to do it. Anything that you can do, I encourage you to please go out and do it. I don't care if it's just helping, you know, giving a kid $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 to get some lunch. It might be needed. You never know. You know what I'm saying? Anything that you can do, take part, be part of it. But big shout out and much respect to LeBron James for opening up that school.